Today, I'm going to talk to you about the main part of MyHeritage, which is building a family tree, which is the heart of what MyHeritage does. MyHeritage started and is main goal is to allow you to build a family tree. How do you build it? You can either start it from the ground up, from scratch on the MyHeritage site. You can also use our software called Family Tree Builder, which we have on Windows and Mac, and you can build it there, and then you can synchronize it to the MyHeritage site. So any changes that you make in either side will move back and forth. You can also import it using a GEDCOM file, which is a standard file that you can export from any other genealogy software or other genealogy site. That allows you to export it, and then you can import it and continue working with it on MyHeritage. We also have a nice ability to synchronize a portion of your family search tree if you are there, and bring it to MyHeritage, allow you to do work there as well and synchronize it back and forth. So these are the main ways of how you would start and build and collaborate with your family tree on MyHeritage. So let's talk about the family tree and the family view of the family tree first. So when I go to family tree, if I click on that option in the menu bar, you will get to the family tree, and this is how this is my own family tree will look like. We see that there are several views. One of them is, the first one is family view, and you'll see that there's other ones as well, and we'll talk about them soon. You can see that it shows me my tree where I am in the middle. Of course, if you build your tree and you set it up that yourself, you are the main person, and every time you will open the tree, it'll show you in the middle. Here I am in my tree. You can see that there is a card for each person. And you can see here that above me is my parents, and then grandparents and great-grandparents going up, brothers, sisters to the side, children, nieces and nephews, spouse, and so on. So this is how the family view looks like. It shows me that in this view currently, it doesn't show me the entire tree. When I took this screenshot, I had 1,533 people in my tree. The view currently, which is myself, parents, grandparents, spouse, and so on, only shows a portion of it. In this case, only 88 at a time. If I zoom in for a second, just to explain what I see here, I see we have these three different icons, the magenta one, the green one, and the brown one, and these refer to matches or hints about additional information that we found about these people in the tree. So the magenta one with the DNA is obviously DNA matches. I took a DNA test, so there are people that we found that are genetically related to me, so we share a common ancestor. The green icon are what we call smart matches. And smart matches is connections to the same person, as we believe, in other family trees. So I appear in other family trees not managed by myself. And this shows me that this is a link to those other individuals in other trees of other MyHeritage members. And the brown one at the bottom shows matches to historical records. So that would be census records, birth records, newspaper articles, and also community trees such as Family Search and Genie, which is another similar type large tree managed by other Genie users as a one big tree. So these are the brown icons. So these are very important tools to allow you to find more information about your family. An interesting thing is that we also show you, in this case, birthday reminders. So when I took this screenshot, my brother here had a birthday in the next few days, so it shows that, and so did my niece. So that's also a social tool for sending birthday greetings and talk about these kinds of things, also anniversaries as well. At the bottom right of the screen, there are some tools for navigation. So you can zoom in and out. You can, if you start navigating in the tree and get lost, you can go back to home, which is yourself, zoom full screen, and also this coloring palette, which I'll talk about soon. Okay, so we have only 88 people right now, but where are all the other ones? So you can see here, and I'm looking at my wife's card, and above it there is a little gray colored branch showing that there are more people in the tree hidden behind that person. So that would be her side of the family, her parents, brother, and so on. So if I click on that, I can see now that the tree changed and she is now the focus of the tree. And you can see here that that's her card, and you can see that her name appears in the top. After mine, it's sort of like a breadcrumb, so I can easily go back to the previous person who was the focus of the tree, which was me. And now I can see her parents, I can see her brother, I can see their brother's children, and family of her father, family of her mother, just like I saw before, my part of the tree. And now I can see that it shows 59 people out of those 1,533. So this is how you would navigate, so to speak, in the tree and go into more and more branches. Another important thing that you will be able to do from the tree is to do a quick edit. You can either click on the pencil on the card or the pencil button in the person panel. And that would open a pop-up that allows you to edit and add the basic information about this person, including names, birth information, death information, and information about spouse, marriage status, and when and where they were married. As I scroll down in the panel, I can see all of the different events or facts about this person. And I can hover over one of them and edit, and I can inline editing quickly of any information, in this case, her occupation. She did many things, and they had a bakery and she worked there. And I can add other relatives, not just father and mother. If I click on the plus icon at the bottom of each card or on the add button in the person detail panel, it will open up a kind of what we call the spider menu, which allows me to add other relatives. So children's, brother, sister, other partners if you already have one, or the first partner if you have none. In this case, let's try to add a daughter, and the same thing will happen. I can now add information about this person's daughter, another daughter of this person. What else can we do? Of course, this is great, but sometimes I want to find a particular person. So we have this convenient find control here that I can start typing a name, and it'll complete people that have that text in their last name or first name or middle name. And then I can select the ones that I want. As I type, of course, the list becomes smaller. A few more interesting things to show. This is a situation where people appear more than once in the tree. These couple here, Avraham and Chaya, appear here twice. You can see them appearing both as the parents of Shlomo and the grandparents of Chaya, which means that these were an uncle and a niece who married. This happened in the 1800s in the small communities where it was quite more common for this to happen, where the pool of people was quite small. A few more actions to kind of go through. So we have this more button in the panel, which allows me to do more complicated things. And one other thing is the manage parents, which I want to talk about. Manage parents, if you click it, in this case, it will show me the two parents that this person has, but you can change the type of parents to be adoptive if they are adoptive, and you can also add other sets of parents. If they're biological, you can add adoptive. If they're adoptive, you can add biological, and so on. So this is allows you to create trees that have both adopting and biological parents. A few more things to show here. We have a control of how many generations to show. By default, it shows you what we call 5+. But you can make it smaller. As you know, probably, as the tree becomes bigger, it sometimes gets hard to understand the structure of the tree because you would have many different children and siblings and cousins, and the tree becomes very wide. So if you make it smaller by, let's say, looking at only one generation, now I will see a much more tight tree where everybody's close together. And sometimes it is helpful in order to understand what are the relationships here, and then you can make it smaller and then make it bigger again as needed. There's a few more other settings. I won't go over all of them. There's quite a lot to do here. I can control a lot of how I display things. Let's concentrate on a few. One is the black ribbons, which will show or hide these black ribbons for deceased people. There is solid cards and vertical cards, just to name a few. The solid cards, if you click it, you would have a look which is more contrast colors. It's more of a classic look that we had a few years ago. And the vertical cards also allow you to look at the cards like standing up, which makes it a bit more compact from a horizontal perspective, but a bit more, you can see less generations going up and down. So if you prefer this way, we know some people prefer this look and some people prefer that look. A new feature that we added not long ago is color coding. This is why we have this little palette to turn on and off this feature. And if you turn it on, it will color your ancestors based on the classic color scheme where blue is your parental grandfather's side, green is the paternal grandmother's side, then red for maternal grandfather, and yellow/orange for the maternal grandmother's side, and purple for descendants. So this way, when you kind of look at the tree, you can instantly know what side of the tree you're looking at. Now, bear in mind that this might not be your tree. In this case, this is my tree. Sometimes I'm a member of that was invited. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Sometimes I'm also looking at other people's trees when I'm looking at smart matches or I'm looking at a genetic match. And I'm looking at someone's tree. This helps me to orient much better. Also, we have an indication of whether a relationship is a genetic relationship, a blood relative. We have this little icon as well. So let's look at how color coding that we just talked about works with DNA. So now we're switching to a completely different area of the product, DNA. So you took a DNA test on MyHeritage or uploaded one to MyHeritage, and we provide all the genetic matches, people who you share DNA with, which means that somewhere there is an ancestor that is common to you and that person. So now I am investigating one of them. Let's look at this Ellen, who apparently is second cousin once removed. And I'm looking at view her tree. So I'm looking at the tree of Ellen. And now it'll also show the color coding of how these people are related to Ellen. So the red ones would be people who are from her mother's father's side. So that helps me a lot. If I'm looking at someone here, I can understand how they are related. And also it shows me in the relationship how that person is related to the DNA match, to Ellen in this case. Okay, going to another tool that talks about the family tree, but from a completely different direction, which is the consistency checker. So the consistency checker is in fact a tool that looks at a lot of these things systematically. So we have a list of different things that we check, one of them being what we mentioned. And it looks at all the people in your tree and systematically looks for those problems. So here I ran it on my tree. I found 253 problems listed here in groups. Each group is a type of problem, and the higher it is on the list, the more acute the problem is that you should deal with. Going down the list are things that are just suggestions, but could be okay, and you might ignore them. So here I have a person who, this is obviously a mistake, a person where I have the birth date after their death date. So something is wrong, okay? I have a mistake. Probably I entered the wrong information somewhere. Another one is a child who is actually older than their parent, and so on. And as you can see, the ones at the top are obvious mistakes that need to be fixed. And there is other ones, if I scroll down, I will see more. Here are the different types of issues that we catch. The errors, the ones in red we talked about, and there is ones that are less. Warnings, for example, he's more than 110 years old, but still alive, and you can actually play with these thresholds as well. And that will change what we decide is a problem and what is not. Going down the list, things like married too young or died too young to be a spouse, and so on. Fact that occurs before their birth and other kinds of things. So you can decide which ones you want to check and play sometimes with the thresholds, and you can fine-tune this tool. But it's a very useful tool that allows you to create better family trees. Other ways to visualize your family tree. There is also a pedigree map, what we call, which allows you to see places that are mentioned in your family tree. So birthplaces, death places, burial places, places that are in photos. You can obviously enter a place for a photo, marriage places, and so on. And you can look at those, you can filter. It's a very complicated tool. I won't go over everything here, but it's another way of visualizing your family tree. Then there is a ways to print many different charts and many different formats about your family tree. You can go here in the family tree section menu, look at charts and books, and you will see a lot of different ways to create nice outputs. Here are some examples of things that you can print in different templates and different layouts. Good. That concludes my presentation. I hope you learned and were informed about how to use the family tree